what's up, folks? And we're back here for another Snowfall recap. Not Jared Lucas, your usual tag team here back for episode 7, Lying in a Hammock. This episode, I have things to talk about. And I want to start off by giving the disclaimer that we always give a disclaimer, because there's one particular scene that we're going to need your help with. So just know that when we watch this, I don't have closed captions posted. I don't want to hear that. You need to watch closed captions. Blah, 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 blah. No, I don't want to hear none of that. We don't have closed captions in these early screeners that we get for this show. So there's that, folks. You happy? Let's get into it. Peaches, where the hell is my man Peaches at, man? And that's okay, because Jerome is out to get answers. But much like how life works, when you go looking for answers, you probably come back with more questions. And now we see Jerome in a state of, well, it's almost funny, like you want to say unconsciousness, but he's in a state of wokeness. Should I add?
So he's up there with
Leon
Hampton. Like he is so. I think it was fun when you watch this episode and you see the progression of Jerome from this very extremely angry person to a doctor offering to wrap his hand up and then tell him maybe you need to talk to somebody. You're sitting in a meeting with vets, and again, it brings him back to kind of what we saw in the season 1 of Snowfall.
Yeah,
like it's a very interesting, not progression, degression of a character.
Maybe it depends on how you want to look at it.
From his lifestyle standpoint.
Oh, okay,
all that's changed. So like he's progressed past the point of that little house, but yet when it feels like his world is falling apart around him, because that's what it felt like in this episode, he's quickly running right back to the small house again and like, hey, this is my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I need to be amongst my people, in other words.
Yeah. Yeah. I love, and I don't try to be right here. I just like to have conversation. I like to, talk theories, but I love the fact that I was right about the idea that when it got shot at, that changed them. You can tell something was this off, and I would not have guessed they would have dove this deep into it. So first thing I want to say is, and I'm going to toss it back to you, is that I just love the idea that we have Black men on television in a position in their life where they're considering therapy, where he's like, hey, I maybe need help. I'm uncomfortable right now in my own skin. We see him question things. We see him tear up. And even in his tough guy role, he still kind of had pity for what he knew life could be for him and for others, and it's just it was shall I say, a beautiful 1 episode arc for Jerome. But overall, I mean, they're telling some story with this guy now. So to kind of come back with you, what's sort of your assessment on Jerome mentally at this point?
This is the correlation that we hear a lot about, that I want to say this is one of the first times you've ever seen it on the screen. What is the difference between someone who comes home from a war versus someone who's lived a war in the streets? No difference. Like the same way we expect vets to be able to come home and deal with their PTSD is the same way some of these street dudes need to deal with their PTSD. And that's where Jerome is here, is that him sitting in on that conversation broke him mentally, because it put him in a place to realize, wow, yes, I didn't serve, I didn't do this and that, but I did serve. I served in the streets. Like I've lived around gunfire. I've had to have my head on a swivel 24 hours a day. It's no difference between me and someone who is in the armed services. And I love that correlation between each other that they show here, because that just shows, again, the PTSD, the mental aspects of Jerome's character, that we see him just contemplating everything. And again, that's what I meant by the beginning when I said, and it takes you back to your comfort zone. If you ever talk to someone who came home from a war, and when they feel they're mentally broken, they go to the first place that brought them comfort, or the last place they can remember that they felt safe and comfortable. The last place Jerome really felt safe and comfortable is in that house. So that's where he is mentally. Not only that, hearing what was going on with Peaches also hurt him.
Oh, for
because
sure.
as close as he was with Peaches, he never knew Peaches was using. And then for someone to have to tell you, not only was he using, but he was using to cope with the pain of everything in his life. I think that really made Jerome think like, wow, if he had to do that, what does it say about me that I didn't notice it as his friend? 2, what's my coping mechanism? Like, what is it that Jerome is using to cope?
Yeah.
Could it be Louie?
And also, could he not be coping? That's something
Exactly.
that a lot of us don't process. We have a lot of feelings as Black men. We have a lot of feelings as you know, with all the societal pressures, with just the trauma. And I think that the storytelling with Jerome right now is on a whole nother level. And like, you know, whether it's just because we are Black men and we're able to relate to it in the fact that so we're looking at it in a very deep perspective, however you want to put it, it's telling some story. You know what I mean? And I one other thing, because I feel like you were about to say it, but I want to make sure I say it before we get off this, is that you always hear this sort of a slanderous term of the streets being the jungle. Well, actually, it's because it's exactly the parallels of, and when you say war, they equate it to the jungle, and it's back home, the same exact thing. And that's where Jerome's scope was realizing that person that was essentially testifying there, Jerome was like, he's talking to me, like straight up. The cinematography of it was amazing, because like we needed to know that, and the fans needed to know that, and if not, we would have said it on the show. We would have let y'all know, like, this is what's happening in case you missed that.
Exactly.
But I love how they put that to the forefront for us.
It's hard to explain to people that have never lived that life or never been in that life, just how just the mindset that you have to put yourself into to be in the streets actively doing anything. Like, it's literally the same mindset you have to do if you're going to go off to war. It's no difference. And I know one of the things that come to people's mind and why they love to separate it is, first thing they say is, you chose this life. Well, if you're living in the streets, you chose that life. What is the difference if I choose to go into the armed services? It's no different. And you got to have that same mindset. And that's what I loved about this episode. As someone who knew people in the armed services, as someone who may have dabbled or know people who dabbled in that other form of lifestyle, I understood everything that was happening with him, because it's just something that you have to deal with, and it can break you when you're attempting to deal with it, especially when you heard that story. That man, when he was talking, it was like the pastor when he talking to church, and you look.
Now I know somebody out there need to be saved.
Exactly. Nigga, who told you my whole life? Like, that's how Jerome felt in that moment.
Somebody out there looking for a blessing right now. I know you're going through something right now. And Jerome was like, Jerome's seat started getting hot. He was like, oh. Now, if you feel like I'm talking to you, come to this altar right now. That's that moment. Jerome was like,
hey, that's a perfect correlation of what Jerome went to is equivalent of coming to the altar.
Yep. It's just, and you know, was also interesting with Jerome is that, like, we understand, and I think also maybe there's a misconception of physical injury actually being more destructive than mental injury.
Oh man,
he went from a hand and he broke some major bone. And let's be clear, if you don't know anything about anatomy, it's the whole idea is that the doctor said, oh, I can't help you, I'll put a splint on it. So understanding that, like,
it ain't no quick fix.
Yeah, exactly. Much like his emotions, not a quick fix. Everything's so damn good, bro.
Hey, man, that doctor, that whole scene with him and Jerome when he's talking about this hand,
Evans, and
he said, "Did you punch a wall or a face?" And Jerome said, "Punch a face." Jerome looks like extremely proud, like, "Yeah, I punched your face and I did this." Right after the doctor bandages him up and tell him, "There's nothing I could do. This has to have time to heal."
Yeah.
And then the next words is, maybe you need to talk to somebody because we have a meeting right down here. Because guess what? The correlation is very much the same here. As much time as you're going to need to heal your hand, as much time as you're going to need to heal your mind to get over whatever it is you did that puts you in this situation.
Yep. I also wanted to just really quickly say, because I peeped the cameo in case you all did not, Dave Gold of the Foo Fighters was the person that came out to tell Oakley, like, hey, we got a session going on here. Rest in peace to the drummer of the Foo Fighters.
Yep.
And beyond that, Dave has just been putting out content left and right. Just checked out his film Studio 666, which was all of them in it. But seeing him in this, I was like, wait a minute. But like, hey, my man's out here getting it. They're back on tour. They were back on tour. I'm pretty sure they're taking a moment to grieve and whatnot.
Yeah.
As we lost a legendary drummer. But yeah, Dave and Snowfall, wasn't expecting that. But hey, here we go. It's a good year for them. Outside their tragedy, they're really putting in work. So hey, gotta love it. I guess let's talk a little bit more Jerome. Forget like how events came out and things, because this was an episode. Listen, this episode had so many different parts. Like they had scenes where it was like scene A, a scene B, and then something that regards to scene A came back to the next
because
scene.
it transitioned from each characters in different perspectives, whether it was Leon's perspective, which we'll talk about, whether it was Louie's, which was extremely interesting to me.
Yeah, that was the worst one of the like the ABA type of thing. Yeah.
But Jerome, next up was Jerome's mission.
Yeah,
mission to find Peaches.
Yes. So he links up with this dude Oakley, who said, I overheard you talking about Peaches. Hey, you remember us from this party, blah 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 blah. And then he said, I know where he's at. And he asks Jerome for some money, and Jerome starts to feel that maybe he's being hustled here. And while they did not find Jerome, while they were on sort of a cold trail of typical places Jerome could hang out at or whatever it may be, it's just the idea that Oakley exposed him into that lifestyle, which ultimately did not help him find Jerome, but it did help him find out a lot more than he ever could expect. And that's Jerome's lifestyle, suffering, all of that. Yeah, Peaches. I'm sorry.
That was the key part, is him finding out about Peaches. Again, though, same correlation. As this guy's leading him around, and Jerome at the end, he's like, I know a setup when I feel a setup. Same thing. PTSD kicks right back in again.
I am the game.
Exactly. Sounding just like Triple H.
Hey man, also shout out to my man Triple H officially retiring from in-ring action, man. Like got all the announcements tonight.
Exactly. But just that whole scene, and then just again the realization, like, wait a minute, Peaches was using? Like, not only was he using, he's using in a crack house. Like, are you kidding me? And then also I think it brought a little comfort to Jerome to know. And Franklin eventually, when they find out that technically Peaches didn't steal the money because he was setting them up. Like he's just not there, and he needed to escape. And he took the money for that reason. That can give some form of comfort to them, like, okay, so at least he didn't set us up. Because I think that was their biggest fear, is that Peaches flipped, that Peaches set them up. And again, though, this whole time, I know I've been saying it, you started agreeing with me when I said, oh, Peaches is sick. HIV, clearly, it's the 80s. What else could it be? Never thought it would be drug use.
And it still can go that way.
Yeah, it still could go that way, but
we just take the sexuality thing out of it now. That was another kind of thing kind of being tossed around.
Well,
now
I did say that at one point in time, like maybe it was because he's using, but they've never really shown Peaches using.
Yeah.
But also keep in mind, at one point, I think they brought up that Peaches was trying to kick his head, trying to get off the drugs, and guess what you go through when you not had a hit long enough?
Withdraw.
and you get extremely sick when you're going through withdrawals.
True.
So maybe that could be it with Peaches. But again, it's that whole thing where I think in the end, while he's trying to find Peaches, it gave him a little comfort to know, okay, so the guy didn't set us up. He kind of took this because he's like, I have to get away.
Yeah.
And again, hard as hell for a fiend to be around drugs all the time.
Yeah. Word on the streets is that he went to Thailand, and also word in the comments last week were saying, well, Franklin did say it was two people that knew that location. If one was him, who could the other one possibly be?
I thought it was Franklin. It was him and Franklin that knew.
He said there was only two people that knew, and the theory from the comments last week were saying, what if that second person was Veronique?
Nah,
and her. And her having the money for the whole thing. I mean, I'm not totally buying into it, but I think what they said was sophisticated enough to get some attention to be said here.
Man, y'all just hate Veronique.
They do. They do.
Y'all
They
hate
do.
her so much.
Yeah.
Y'all like, she gotta be setting Franklin up.
Yeah, her rating on the polls right now really
Exactly.
bad. She might need to withdraw.
Y'all treating her like Kamala out this joint, Joe. Come on, man.
Yeah,
Veronique Harris
is bad. Yeah,
not Veronique Harris out here. Good
it's
God.
bad. It's bad. But strangely enough, Jerome, outside of wearing all this tight Versace, I need to get on his fashion plan.
Even in the 80s, like he is killing it.
Yes,
with these
he
damn
is.
shirts, man. Listen,
yes, he is.
all that shit back in style now.
Yes,
you want a Jerome shirt that's gonna cost you at least $2,500.
Yes, it will. I don't know what I was thinking the other day. I saw in the store, I was like, dang, I want one of these joints. The shorts is 15. So I was like, man, what the shirt look like? I was like, damn, 25. I was like, shit. Damn.
You like shit. I need to
find
Teddy too.
Yeah.
Shit.
But with all things with this, Jerome now says that, hey, we can have our honeymoon in Thailand, and that's where he decides that he's going to propose to Louie with the biggest rock that I've seen, especially in that era. Jesus Christ. But he proposed, and things are good, and happy for them. I never realized that they weren't in the first place, but love is love, and we happy, man.
Never thought about. Hey, we just like what's the cop's name? My God, I forgot his name that fast.
I always forget his name. Buckley. There we go.
Buckley. When he was like, wait a minute, y'all weren't married already? Like we just assumed that they were already married.
And then we should just
marriage. We should know better. Just because Franklin called her auntie don't mean that them two are married. You know how many aunts and uncles I got?
Yeah. Yeah. Also Buckley with the supreme nigga comment. I'm so happy for y'all. Congratulations. Louie was like, really?
Nigga, you've been hitting on me this whole time.
But married women are even more attractive. He was man. Somebody told me that he used to be a Power Ranger back in the day.
Wait a minute. What?
I had no clue. I
ain't watched past Zach and Kimberly and them.
Oh, okay. So like the beginning. Gotcha. No problem. Let's talk about Kane. Kane is the threat right now for the group, and it is very clear that while we had a little bit of discrepancy last episode, they definitely came out this episode making it very clear why he is such a threat, because he is an OG and he has pull everywhere. And why they're trying to figure out tactics to resolve all of this. Well, my man brother Leon says I'm gonna go talk to him. And they established that there's legitimate beef because they killed his little brother and they didn't take care of the family. Yeah, that's the thing. I know that. Like, you gotta take care of the family and they didn't do so. But Leon said he's gonna handle it, and they all put trust in Leon to do so.
I ain't gonna say they put trust in Leon.
Yeah, there was reserve, but
especially that little comment of, man, it ain't about killing them. It's about seeing another black body in the streets. I'm like,
I knew that was coming.
Shut the hell up.
Yeah, I saw that response in 4K. I knew that was coming. I was like, I know he about to say some wild, peaceful stuff. But listen, it's funny though, because like when he transitioned into like all the black bodies in the streets, he's not for that. But then he was just like, well, what happens, if he doesn't want to take the agreement? My man then turned it to Thanos. Was like, well, then I'll just do it myself.
Exactly.
Like, okay.
I'll wipe his whole crew out. Like, wait a minute, you can't go 1 minute talk about peace and you don't want to see black bodies in the street, and then the next minute is I'll wipe his whole crew out if he doesn't agree with
Jesus Christ, bro. That sounds very reminiscent of somebody saying all this religious stuff and empathy and talking about
love and protection. Right after you smack the shit out of somebody, you can't have that form of transition, sir. Are you calling him Leon Smith?
King
Leon Smith.
All right, folks. That's it for tonight's episode. We gonna catch you. Hey yo, for real. It's like King Richard would have did. I was like, what? But anyway,
like Leon out there, like, keep my street's name out your fucking mouth.
Hey, real talk. Somebody pull up a Wanda wrong. Leon going ham. Also,
we already know what we gonna do.
Yeah, we also need a what do you call it? When you got a missing person, what's it called? The 3 letters. A missing persons
Oh,
on
I was about to
Wanda.
say we need to put her in a milk carton. We got to take
All
back to
that,
the 80s.
all
Put her on
that,
the
all
milk
that.
carton, Joe.
Yes, there's some letter acronym that you or code that you say when you got a missing person. But yes, folks need to find Wanda because we need to know Wanda at, and everybody think Wanda took the money.
Exactly.
And if Wanda took the money, went to the DR, got her a Brazilian butt lift, or BB,
no, not a BBL. Wanda ain't going. Not in the 80s, at least. They better not have Wanda come back with a BBL.
She good. She went to Miami and went to Dr. What's his name?
Dr. Miami to get her
Dr. Miami, yes.
That's where she went. Got
we
from no crack Jones, Joe.
Yeah, we need a missing persons on her, man, because MPB, there we go, missing person. Yeah, but we need to find her. But going on to that though, getting back into it, yeah, Leon decides to meet with Kane, and they kind of rehash the childhood and and their respect for one another at the time and how they kind of went off on other paths. Leon kind of talked about how he looked at Leon as the OG and that's who he always wanted to be like, and so on. So like that was it was an interesting moment, but it made it very clear that they were still for business. But also in terms of business, Leon says, well, what about we can get you in the mix here?
Yep.
We can get you on, and I just hella reservations to this. Everybody's just like, that's what he wants. And to be exact, what was his terms though? Oh, so he says, yeah, he'll use his connect, and they'll start off with 10 a key. So essentially, Louie gives this response like, gets the targets off our back, peace in the land. And obviously it's clear that she's not sold because she still went on with her plans later on, but that's going to be problematic there.
It's another very interesting conversation. Well, thing that happened during the conversation between Leon and Kane, and that is when he's talking to him and he's like, wait a minute, I'd have thought Franklin would be the person doing this.
Yeah.
Because it shows the switch of them two. Because now Kane sees Franklin as the hothead that he always thought Leon would be. Because Franklin was very clear about it. Like, if this was anybody else, I'd have completely wiped them off the map. Like, you shot at my mother, you shot at my unborn child, even though still, Franklin, it's kind of suck a move that you didn't do it. Because I'm not even meeting to talk to you after you did that. You crossed the line that there is no need for us to have a communication anymore. But again, just to that, and then we see the growth of Leon here, that he wants to be the peacemaker. He wants to be the guy to try to make a deal. And I don't know why they are constantly throwing around this 10 a key price. Nigga, we literally just had this discussion. That means you're losing. You think you're going to be able to take that back and be like, yeah, I gave him 10
No. Did they say 10 a key? No, he wants 10 keys.
Oh, 10
is what they said.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's going to use his connect to get things out, and he wants 10 keys. Not 10 a key, but 10 keys is where he wants to start off with. So, and the price is the price. So, Louie would have been on their ass about that. Like, hey, we not moving like that, man.
Hey, yesterday's price. It's not today's price. Louie ain't having it, Joe.
Yeah. And like you said, Leon admitted that they fucked up. But like you said, you came from our family, so you fucked up. So let's just make that really clear.
Not only that, Leon pointed out, like, technically, we had no choice. Either we would have killed him, or everybody dies, including you. Like, he had made that situation so bad, they had no other option.
Yeah. And also, too, it also was clear in another person getting a diagnosis on their mental. He also said, damn, Leon, you changed. You've been through it. Yup. Because once he seen his black brothers get raided up on in the hood, my man.
That, and Leon is still holding those effects of last season when he killed that little girl by mistake. Like,
that's true.
That is changed him completely. So, damn, that means we're looking at two members of this show that been changed by gun violence.
Yeah.
And yet two others who
Three. Peaches too. Because you have to think what Peaches saw happen to White Boy Rob, that he was like,
well, yeah, they did bring that up, that once that happened, he's like, oh, if you're willing to do that to your one of your best friends, what the hell are you gonna do to me?
Yeah. And and then any given point he can get back on it hard, and then he well, I mean, he did take the money, so like, yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
so
Because and that just brings up that at that time when they killed White Boy Rob, Peaches was using, and Peaches was possibly thinking, if I get caught slipping, look what Franklin would do to me.
Maybe he was using, and that's why he got off of it and then got sick.
Yeah,
that's the timeline.
Withdrawals.
Yeah, the withdrawal when he saw that happen, because he's like, oh no, I'm not down that way. Yeah, and then he called off of work.
There you go. Hey, that's what you do. That's what you do.
Yeah, and maybe that could be it. But let's talk about Bert. Oh, go ahead.
Like again, so that's 3 cast members we've had overly affected by gun violence, but notice we have 2 of them, which at one point we always said were the 2 strongest people in this business who are thriving off of that same violence. That's the crazy part here. Yeah.
Let's talk about Veronique real quick. Veronique, who sounded like sissy, as Franklin said, also clearly not good, as you don't
not
say
at
that
all.
much, girl. But Teddy blowing Franklin up. And they're just trying to get everything right. Teddy's just like, look, I can't trust you. It's just your fault that the whole thing went off.
That was a hell of a scene between them two.
Because I'm about to
we're just talking about Veronique right now. My bad.
Yeah, no. Because I'm about to compile all of this real quick. Gustavo going to find Teddy. His sex therapist doctor also is like, Tomas, I love your new name, Teddy. It's sexy, and I want to do work and all this other stuff and whatnot. She's just, she's starting to make that's why she put those bitch ass staples in there, stitches in there that didn't work, and she had to come right back.
Spanish Wanda, you got to be careful with Spanish Wanda.
Yeah, exactly. But at this point now, Gustavo also, who has gained trust with Franklin, now has a different mindset about what Teddy's trying to do in terms of the surveillance of it. But why this is all together is because Veronique is also really pushing forward with landing the deal. It is important that they land the deal. This is the only time they do so. Teddy, on the other hand, is like, look, bro, that deal is way too high profile. Also, I think there's an intimidation factor there, because he's like, oh, if you do this, then you don't need me, and all this messes up everything we got going. There's a lot of stuff going on with that. But at the end of the day, Teddy now becomes full-blown, I don't trust you. He is out here putting surveillance on you. He done tried to hire this whatever guy that we do not know. So therefore, jump in the comments and say, this guy worked for who? Because we couldn't read it. We couldn't hear it. Couldn't tell what he said. He said something kind of strange, and I could not figure it out. Watched it like 2 times. Didn't make sense. Don't have closed caption. Don't want to hear the shit. But that he tried to hire. He is hiring somebody to put a next level type of surveillance on top of Franklin, which is interesting because somebody that works for the CIA can't do what? Wait a minute.
It's certain things you can't dig into. Again, we've had that conversation beforehand when we were questioning who are these other people that Sissy is dealing with. Is it the FBI and not the CIA? Because FBI tends to be, especially in state, have way more control of what they want to do. What made this whole thing interesting here between Teddy and Franklin is the point that it kind of made me wonder, was this business that Veronique pushing equivalent to Franklin's white fur coat? And anybody know what I mean? I mean, you've seen American Gangster, what Frank Lucas did. Something so high profile that it puts all the attention on you and your business. I am not disagreeing at all with Teddy there, because eventually someone will have to ask,
and
how
they
the hell are you all together in this high price real estate? Like, what have you done? They will automatically put that connection together, and it does threaten their business. But this is Franklin's way out. So now you got to wonder, what is Franklin's response going to be to this? Because Teddy laid down a law at this point. You will not know a drop. I will let you know the day of. You're coming by yourself. No one else is coming. Like, once you're dealing with a connect and the trust is no longer there, now we're about to see the ultimate fractured relationship between these two. It down to him bringing up, and all of a sudden your mother's back when he said that wasn't part of the deal. Was this the deal to keep Alton alive? Now, who do you think actually killed Alton?
I don't know, man.
Hey, that brought up a lot of questions the moment he said that wasn't part of the deal.
Yeah. No, that's for sure. Just and really quick in the meeting that Teddy was with this guy, he said, this job requires discretion and layered and deep. So, it's super sophisticated, and he's trying to make sure that like he gets all the answers he needs.
Hey, can I ask another question that they're gonna kill us for anyway? But I just don't know the answer to. And I was trying to figure it out. Please again,
let's go.
Hey, was he talking about the dude taking Franklin's money?
What are you talking? And what part?
When they were talking about a scheme, he said to get the money out of those secured accounts, and I want it all in one account. I was not. He's not talking about his money. Teddy ain't got no money. Is he talking about the business's money, or is he talking about Franklin's money? Like he wants to get Franklin, Louie, all their money, and he wants it in one place where he can keep track of it. Like that's what it felt like. I just wasn't sure, and I know y'all out there, y'all gonna watch it in the way that we can, and let us know like what was he actually hinting towards doing? Because
it's gotta be.
It's not physical surveillance. This is financial surveillance he's talking about.
Yeah, and he's definitely trying to get into the cyber world of things, and
exactly, and again,
and maybe that's why Teddy can't do it, because he doesn't have the resources to do so, because he would have to actually be in the office or some other shit, so
and he would have to involve others.
So this man is basically Jon Snow, not Jon Snow, Snowden. There we go.
There you go. Yeah. Eric Snowden.
Not Eric Snowden. Yeah, not Game of Thrones. God,
if he's Jon Snow, who the fuck is the White Walker? Is it Peaches? I need Wanda. I need to know at this point. But again, like
Wanda, one of them dragons. That's what she is.
But that is actually bringing up,
especially with those teeth she had.
Exactly. But it's actually bringing up a really good point here, because if this is who Teddy's reaching out to, because Teddy doesn't want to get the CIA involved in it, because if the CIA gets overly involved in it, what will be the solution? Kill and burn Franklin. That will be the solution.
Also, this is kind of CIA and FBI work. So
exactly. So again, I'm just very interested to see where that's going to go, because clearly, again, we see the trust is gone. We see there is no longer that nice friendship we had at one point in time last season between Franklin and Teddy. That shit is gone.
Yeah. That's for sure. That's going to be the most interesting thing for the next episode. Two things we want to really quickly hit on is Veronique. I feel like I should have said this, and I know you all absolutely love to hate her, but I do honestly feel in a very manipulative way that she is leveraging her pregnancy with their safety. There's a lot of very interesting things happening. Franklin asking about how far along is she, how's it going, and she's just kind of like,
how the hell doesn't he know how far along she is? Did you not also find that weird? It's the weirdest fucking question in the world, Joe.
I mean, I don't know.
Who baby is that? There you go. That's what y'all need to wonder now. Who baby is that?
Peaches. Ghost. It's Ghost. But it is interesting that she's kind of using that, and I think it's in bad taste, because that's still that guy's, that's my man Franklin. That's his kid. He's doing my man. You out here. Yeah, exactly. You out here doing some other stuff. But then she drops a very, very conspicuous line, and you can suss a bad deal out in bad faith. Okay, who are you talking about? Also, let's remember something we saw earlier in this episode when we got that zoom in with Jerome. We got that same zoom in with Franklin, and the gears are turning. What is he thinking? Is she talking about herself? First of all, bro, we already told you, Franklin, if you would have listened to our last previous reviews, look at her bloodline. Red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag.
Don't tell me Veronique out this joint hiring doctors and come on, Miss Mamas. Are you hiring doctors and everything to fake your pregnancy?
Listen, folks are in the comments going wild, saying that this is the whole thing going on. Hey, so if you get that email from Veronique saying that she needs to transfer $5,000 into your bank account to help Franklin,
not Nigerian Veronique. No.
Jesus Christ, we can't be serious for nothing here.
But again, it just brought up so many questions. That whole conversation about pregnancy, how far you along, like that was weird, because you should know all of this stuff already. You went to a doctor's appointment with her. How you not know this?
Unless that's the only one that he had. I mean, I don't know, bro. I'm not gonna cop excuses for him, but I just think that if he doesn't know, that's just a red flag for the whole situation. So So that's what I would just say with that there. Let's talk about the last thing of the episode, which is not the last event of the episode, but just the last thing we didn't cover. And that's obviously with Louie and Buckley, where, well, I need you to take out Kane. And this is almost like what this solves the issue here.
I'm about to say,
yeah. And we kept wondering who would it be, and wow, long and behold, they had to
would be that
a new
person
character
that she had to give up because he kept on saying, "I need somebody."
You know what's interesting though is because what's going to happen is that Louie is going to promote Leon to be more friend with him, so that it look concise together. And they still got to do business with him, but I mean, it just makes sense. Only issue is that black people are going to die. Leon's not going to be happy about that. Yeah. But for 150K, I think is what they landed on. He's going to take 2 weeks to scope it out and make it happen. And
then that means it solves his problem. He needs someone. He needs a body. He needs someone in the drug game to blame everything on. If he has to kill a person in the process of doing it, that's perfectly fine. We're in the 80s. Keep in mind, we're not in the 2000s and shit. This is the 80s. If he got to kill somebody, it don't really matter. No one's going to overly look into him killing this known drug dealer in the streets. So it solves all their problems. But
all of it.
The biggest thing is, look at Louie making boss moves that could, in the end, fracture that family completely.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a boss move. This is not a move saying, I need to ask Jerome. Yeah. I need to ask Franklin. Louie's like, no, I'm making this decision. This is what will happen. That's a hell of a thing to do, especially again from the projection that we've always seen from Snowfall. Everything's about Franklin. This entire season has been Louie completely separating her and Jerome's business from Franklin, down to Franklin having to come to her office to pitch her on an idea. Like, this is the ultimate thing for her to pull off here. Yeah. And you kind of wonder if she does pull this off, because Franklin still said he was not going to touch Kane because of what Kane did for him. So it's still for Franklin, those feelings and that relationship there. Louie's like, that does not matter to me.
Yeah. I think this is definitely a good point of the episode, a good point of our tonight's episode to kind of leave off on, because we do have a bunch of questions going into next week. Jerome going back to the crib. What is that going to mean for his mental progress and getting back to his roots? But like you said, with Louie making decisions that are in complete confliction into what Leon and what Jerome is now feeling, it's going to be interesting how this has a ripple effect. Hey, Franklin's going to love it. Problem solved. But we'll see how everybody else reacts.
When are we going to get back to Sissy and her connect trying to set up Teddy? Now that he's been shot and his complete mindset has changed, how hard is it going to be to get close to him now? Yeah, he ain't letting no one in at this point. So how do you set him up with
Gustavo intel
without giving up your son, which was Sissy's biggest thing? Without giving up your son, how are you going to get anywhere near him? Because he's no longer. You can't come along with Franklin. No one can. He's not allowing that to ever happen again.
Yeah. Gustavo might be the key here, because again, they gotta trust, and I think he's gonna start leaking some information like, hey, be aware these things are happening. Listen,
I don't know.
Remember, they having that whole thing with the line and all that other stuff. I mean, that brought them together, and I think I'm not gonna say like it's a strong foundation that I'll take to the bank, but I think for show purposes, I think that's why they went on that journey, for them to understand, like, why would Gustavo actually betray Teddy? Because he actually trusts Franklin, and he doesn't want these type of things to happen. And he also knows what Teddy going to do is going to also break up the family, and he doesn't want that. He just got the sissy treatment. He knows that they deserve to be together. But I don't know, folks. Y'all drop in the comments. Y'all let us know your thoughts about tonight's episode. This was a fun one, and you already know the deal, folks. We're here each and every week at the conclusion of Snowfall episodes with your official recap. So until next week, y'all be safe. See you then.